The Welsh versus Springbok semi-final is what we're expecting after that match. Joining us to speak about this and, well, the matches, the quarterfinals basically today is Mnikelo Madala, our in-house rugby analyst and also editor right here on Sports Live. Mnikelo, thank you very much once again to Joe for speaking about all things rugby. Where do you start to this weekend? It was touch and go. We said it the other day, or I think the day before yesterday, is that you cannot undermine or underestimate Japan. The first half, one could say they nearly outplayed us. Bar these silly mistakes that the Springboks had, it was a tough game all around.
Look, I think the game was a lot closer than it should have been. The Springboks had plenty of opportunity in the first half already to take the wind out of the Japanese sails. But some fumbles from our fullback, Vili. And also a little let up from Lukanyo just before the halftime break. And the Japanese were still in it at halftime.
Is it a question of maybe they, again, it's one that we were never going to lose. I mean, I don't care who says what. It's a match that we were never going to lose. Was then a case of we know we're going to win this match, and the fundamentals, the basics, is what let them down. Because at the end of the day, the second half, the grunt of the Springbok that we know came through. But it's those mistakes that you pay dearly once you play Tier 1 teams like your Wales next Sunday, and hopefully the Wallabies, not the Wallabies, rather, the All Blacks or maybe England in the final.
Look, I think Rassie made it crystal clear what he planned to do in this match. You look at his bench split, 6-2 to the forwards. And, I mean, the forwards came to the party in the first half, and they mauled and scrummed and rucked the Japanese off the park. So come the second half, they were nice and tender for the taking. And we can expect more of the same, because what I've seen with Rassie, default is just going back to copper stamp.
Yeah.
And that's what's worked for the Springboks.
Yeah. Is it going to work, though? Again, I say, let's look at Faf. I mean, Faf had a... I don't know how to make of it. He got man of the match. I don't know how that happened, but Faf had one of those games, like the game we saw against the All Blacks. Everything in the head. It was a bit slow at the ruck on the breakdown. Then he kicked it up. Some of the calls, the kicks did not go anywhere. And it was, if it was not for possibly the Springbok, the forward pack that we all know, and the workmanlike performance by Dialandu, I think we had an exceptional game. Lukanyo, although we had mistakes the first half, second half, he kind of came to the party. It was not for those guys who came to the party and actually brought the game in. We're going to struggle if we're going to put the ball up high against the Welsh. They're going to thump us. We're going to lose a lot of possession that way.
Look, the Welsh didn't cover themselves in glory today either. I think, if anything, they were lucky to get a result against the French. That silly red card late in it, I think, basically gave it to the Welsh.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say that the Welsh are going to thump us when we meet next week, because they too haven't had the greatest World Cup thus far.
But I mean, then you look at our performance. Where do we clean up? Where do we bring it tighter? Because Rassie has said it outright that, look, you learn game by game, you learn every day. Where do we bring it in? Where do we tighten it up in as far as the game is concerned, looking ahead now to the... It's basically big boy rugby now. From here on in, there's nothing, no mistakes.
I don't think we have any worries with the pack. Today, I mean, the highlight for me today was how the centre pairing of Lukanyo and Dialende played.
Yeah.
They carried that team this morning. So if we can get the backline going, I mean, for me, Henry Pollard was conspicuously AWOL today until the Japs had gone very soft. And then Makazole was a shining star, and Cheslin didn't have much opportunity. So if we can get that backline working in song all at once, yeah, there might be a team there to beat for any other team in the last four.
Did that 6-2 split work in as far as today is concerned, or if you're going once you start playing the Welsh, who are very well, disciplined throughout, their play, do you think maybe Russell will chink at the back line a bit more?
I don't think he'll touch anything. I think he's got a bunch of guys who have learned to play with each other in a very short space of time. So I think tinkering with anything now is causing unnecessary doubt in the setup. So I think he'll leave it as is. he might tinker with the bench, but the starting 11 or starting 15, I don't think he'll do anything with.
Let's look at the other group, or the other side of the draw. The All Blacks yesterday outstanding against the Irish, a match that a lot of people thought, well, I certainly thought the Irish were going to run them fairly close, having won 2 of their past 3 meetings. All Blacks, though, yet again, when it has to move up to 6th, 7th, 8th gear, class of their own.
Yeah, look, I mean, we question some of the selections for that match as far as the All Blacks are concerned. But I mean, Steve Hansen proves to us time and time again that he knows exactly what he's doing most of the time. And yesterday was no different. They came out and they played sparkling rugby. What do you say to that?
Yeah, and the English and the Australians, look, any given day, if you beat an Australian side, I'm happy. Yesterday, though, I'm not sure. I mean, I think I would have liked to see Australia come out, but you did call it the other day that they actually have not been at their best. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the English have gone about their business quite quietly. Nobody has really noticed their game up until, I think, yesterday when it came to crunch time.
I think Eddie Jones is the personification of efficiency when it comes to rugby. He plays to win, and as much as they thumped
the Aussies,
I mean, as much as they got a good result yesterday, there was nothing like spectacular about their performance. They were just there, they did the basics, and they got a very good result. They, I think, are going to be, I mean, that semi-final between New Zealand and the English is going to be, some are touting it as the final already. Unfortunately, you don't win trophies in the semis.
Look, I don't blame them. If you look at it again, if you look at the fact that those 2 teams, they've probably been the most consistent. Bar the South African loss against New Zealand, one could say, look, we too have gone about it the right way. We've only conceded, what, only 4 tries throughout this World Cup so far. So our defense seems to be working fairly well. Who do you see in the final? I mean, South Africa, I think they should walk it against the Welsh on any given day. England, New Zealand, as you call it. So that was a tight one, but I think the Palms could have an ace up their sleeves.
I think I see the All Blacks playing the Springboks in the final. But I think the interesting thing for me there is who the captain is going to be for the Springboks.
You're opening a can of worms with that one, aren't you?
I mean, I was never going to let it go.
Yeah.
We saw when Beast got his yellow card today, Siya Kolisi ran off and Kitshoff came on.
Contentious decision for me, that one. Here's a question. I think I will ask for an extra minute if our director can give us this. Here's the contention with that. Beast, just for the sake of our viewers, Beast Mtawarira got a yellow card for a spear attack. We've been debating Mnikelo whether it was a red cardable offence or not. Bottom line is, then you had Siya Kolisi, the captain, come off. And somebody mentioned that in that team, there's a de facto captain who actually called it that Siya should go off. It was the first time. I'm trying to imagine a Richie McCall run off for the All Blacks if
I've never ever seen it. And the other thing that stood out for me, just watching the background after that, is Elton Yankees came on with water at some point, but he came on with a message. Both Siya and Dwayne were on the field at that point.
Yeah.
And he went to Dwayne and whispered something to Dwayne with the captain on the field. I mean, sitting at home, I don't know what goes on in the camp, but
for a moment there, when I looked at Dwayne, it looked like he was going to take up the prop position when Beast got the red card. Immediately, and you're right, immediately when Elson came on, the camera was on Dwayne for a meal, and it seemed as if, like you're saying, again, not saying he is, but it seemed that there is a de facto sort of boss out there who called the shots, because having your captain leave, especially when the game is that close, at a World Cup quarterfinal, is unheard of.
I think, just to be safe, let's maybe call it a group of leaders on the field.
Oh.
And Dwayne is part of that group, and so is Siya. So I think the group decided who's going off, and it happened to be the captain.
Mnikelo Madala, we're going to leave it there, I think, before you get into trouble. A group decided, almost like the bomb squad decision. But anyway, that's not what we're all about. Mnikelo Madala joining us right here to speak about the Springbok victory today against Japan. We're now off to the semi-finals where you face Wales. You called it, Mnikelo, South Africa versus the All Blacks in the final. That's the way I see it as well.